1 in 11 people are on GLP-1 medications. And of that pretty large number, 1 in 5 are going to develop a micronutrient deficiency. That's like vitamin D, B12. That's a huge amount of people. And I'm saying this and sharing this as a person who's also on a GLP-1 medication, something that I need to worry about as well. So if you don't know me, I'm Jessica Brown. I'm a nutritionist, author of Beyond the Shot and The Loving Diet. And I really try to bring things that are not on people's radar about emerging research on GLP-1 medications, especially those with autoimmune disease, the cool facts. So let's talk about micronutrient deficiencies. The reason why it's important to talk about these is that it's way easier to prevent a micronutrient deficiency than it is to treat one. And by the way, I have quite a few people in my private practice on these medications. Nobody has told me that their doctors are speaking to them about this, that they have a testing plan. Mostly anybody I've ever spoken to about micronutrient deficiencies on GLPs don't even understand how often they should be getting tests. And the tests aren't difficult. They're not complicated. They're not expensive. You just need to know what test to order and where and why and when. Okay, so let's start with some of the basics. GLP-1 medications are peptides that people take that mimic your natural gut hormone, GLP-1. So why are these medications important for the treatment of obesity and weight loss? They actually slow down gastric emptying. They make you feel fuller sooner, and they help your pancreas release insulin more effectively. Now, there's a misnomer that GLP-1 medications themselves are causing nutrient deficiencies, and it's actually just not the case. It's the side effect of what the medication is doing to people's bodies and physiology that makes them more likely to develop a deficiency. Let's talk about how many people actually develop these deficiencies, because there's been a huge study that has come out, and I want to tell you about it, that really hones in on some of the important details. So one of the biggest studies about deficiencies on GLP-1 medications was almost 500,000 people. 13% of everybody they looked at in this study had a nutrient deficiency by month 6. And that increased to 22%, which is essentially 1 in 5 people, by month 12. The most common deficiency is vitamin D. Now, a lot of people who start GLP-1 medications actually have a vitamin D subclinical deficiency before they even get started on a GLP-1 medication. Vitamin D deficiencies are incredibly common, and a lot of people who start these might not show up low on lab work, but once they start GLPs, then they go into the low category. So that's an important distinction to make here, is that some people are just sort of on the threshold, and when we actually do lab work, then they show up as being lab low. The other things that show up quite a bit and that were shown in this study to be low are B12, which is an incredibly important vitamin. In nutrition science and in my world, we call it the neurological vitamin. The other thing that's really common is folate, vitamin B1, magnesium, and irons. So that's the big collection of the things that you need to be looking out for, or your doctor needs to be looking for if you're on a GLP-1 medication. Now, part of the reason that this is happening, and there's ups and downs, there's upsides and downsides to being on GLP-1 medication. But part of the reason why this is happening is because not that the medication is stopping absorption of these nutrients. That is not what's happening. But the thing that is happening is that the way these medications work by slowing gastric emptying is that is causing nutrients and how well they're absorbed to be impacted. I'll say too that this isn't just like one rare case report. When we look at 500,000 people in the study that was done, it's pretty common now to start seeing this. So in that large study that I mentioned, which details are in the description of the video if you'd like to look the study up yourself, was vitamin D. Vitamin D is incredibly important because it's related to immune function and bone health. And it was the most common deficiency. The other deficiency that I see quite a bit is iron. Now, there's two things that we want to look at when we're testing people and these deficiencies in relation to iron, and that is serum iron and ferritin. Both seem to go low when people are on these medications. Is it partly because food takes longer to get through the system? Yes. Is it partly because people are just eating less food and the amount of calories they consume is going down? Yes. It's both things. And remember, iron carries oxygen to all your cells, so it's incredibly critical. In fact, I see iron deficiency in GLP-1 users often get mixed up with hair loss. People think, oh, I'm losing all of my hair because I'm on a GLP-1, and hair loss is a pretty complex issue. Most often with GLP-1 medications, it's linked to a rapid calorie reduction, which can be linked to hair loss, but iron deficiency is so commonly linked to hair loss and extreme fatigue. And I see hair loss and extreme fatigue come up quite a bit in my population. Is it the medication? It might be. Is it rapid weight loss? It might be. Is it an iron deficiency? It very well could be. And that's something that your doctor can actually help you with. So can nutritionists. So let's review. The most common deficiencies if you're on a GLP-1 medication, 1 in 5 will develop a deficiency over the first year, are the following: vitamin D, B12, B1, which is thiamine, folate, magnesium, iron. Those are the biggest ones that your doctor or you can test yourself for. Now, I want to give a list for all of the different ways that you can do this testing yourself. And the big thing that I get asked is, how often should I test myself or ask my doctor to test me for these? And that would be every 6 months, at least for the first year that you're on these medications. Because again, it's much easier to prevent these deficiencies than it is to treat them. Now, how do we treat them? You can do is proactively take a multivitamin and vitamin D. So my favorite form of vitamin D is vitamin D3 with K2 together, okay? And this is important, especially if you have cardiovascular risk in your family or you're worried about your bone health. Vitamin K2 paired along with vitamin D3 helps shuttle calcium into cells. The other thing you can do is just start taking a multivitamin as soon as you get on a GLP-1 medication. Now, there's tons of multivitamins to choose from. I put different clients who have different needs on different forms of multivitamins, but I'm going to put here a few of my favorites. And some of them you can get at Costco. Almost all of them you can get on Amazon. You can also buy them from iHerb. You know, there's lots of different places to buy great multivitamins, Whole Foods, Sprouts. So making sure that you're on vitamin D3 and a multivitamin at the onset of being on a GLP-1 medication can help with these deficiencies. So I'm in the same boat as you. I take a multivitamin. I take vitamin D3 with K2. I test for my vitamins. These are just important things that we can do proactively that come along with the GLP-1 experience. So I am curious though, has your doctor tested your micronutrients? Have they even brought it up when you're in conversation with them? Do they have a plan? Have they told you how often to get these micronutrients tested? And if you have, did you notice that you developed a deficiency over the first year? I'd love to hear what your experience has been. Hope you found this helpful.